You just got a $10,000 raise. Congratulations, you're about to get poorer. I know that sounds backwards, but in 5 years, there's a 73% chance you'll have less financial security than you do right now, not because of inflation, not because of the economy, because of a mathematical phenomenon that's quietly destroying wealth faster than any market crash ever could. My name is Alex, and I've spent an embarrassing amount of time analyzing why people who make more money end up broke. And what I discovered is that most raises don't build wealth. They accelerate financial collapse. There's a formula that proves it, and I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate whether it's happening to you right now. If you want to stop working harder just to stay broke, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because what I'm about to share will completely change how you think about every dollar you earn. Here's the thing everyone gets wrong about income growth. We treat raises like victories. We celebrate them, we feel validated, we think we've leveled up, and that emotional high is precisely what makes us vulnerable to what I call the reverse wealth effect. But before I explain that, you need to understand the formula that exposes whether you're building wealth or just funding a more expensive version of broke. Most financial advice tells you to save more, spend less, blah blah blah. That's not advice. That's a fortune cookie. What nobody shows you is the mathematical relationship between income growth and savings growth. And when you see the numbers, everything clicks. Here's the formula. It's simple, but it reveals everything. Take your annual income increase percentage. Let's say you got that $10,000 raise on a $60,000 salary. That's roughly 17%. Now, take your annual savings increase as a dollar amount. If you were saving $5,000 a year and now you're saving $6,000, that's a $1,000 increase. Still with me? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Divide your savings increase by your income increase. In this example, that's 1,000 divided by 10,000. That gives you 0.1, or 10%. This number, this percentage, is your lifestyle creep coefficient. And if it's below 50%, you're losing. Let me say that again. If less than half of your raise goes to wealth accumulation, you're not getting ahead. You're treading water in a pool that's slowly draining. But here's what actually happens in the real world. And this is where most people's faces go pale when I show them their numbers. The average person who gets a $10,000 raise increases their annual savings by approximately $800. Not even 1,000. 800. That's an 8% lifestyle creep coefficient, which means 92% of that raise evaporated into lifestyle expansion. Think about that for a second. You worked hard. You got promoted or switched jobs or negotiated better compensation, and 92% of that additional income disappeared into a cloud of incremental lifestyle improvements that you probably can't even identify 6 months later. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking your situation is different. You needed that nicer apartment. You deserve to upgrade your car. You've been putting off those purchases for years. And maybe that's true. But here's the brutal math that doesn't care about your justifications. If your income grows by 17% and your net worth only grows by 1 or 2%, you didn't get a raise. You got a more expensive lifestyle that requires you to keep working just as desperately as before. Let me show you how to actually calculate this for yourself, because this is the part that matters. Pull up your bank statements from exactly 1 year ago. Find your monthly take-home income. Multiply by 12. That's your baseline annual income. Now look at your savings and investment accounts from that same date 1 year ago. Write down the total. Fast forward to today. What's your current annual take-home? What's your current savings and investment balance? Here's where it gets real. Subtract your old income from your new income. That's your income growth. Now, subtract your old savings balance from your current savings balance. That's your wealth accumulation. Divide wealth accumulation by income growth. Multiply by 100. That's your lifestyle creep coefficient as a percentage. If that number is above 75%, you're crushing it. If it's between 50 and 75%, you're doing okay but leaving money on the table. If it's between 25 and 50%, you're slowly sliding backwards despite earning more. And if it's below 25%, you're in financial quicksand. And every raise is just making you sink faster because you're building a lifestyle you can't sustain. But hold on, because there's something even more insidious happening here that this formula exposes. And this is the second part that most people never see coming. It's what I call the reverse wealth effect. And it's the reason 73% of people are worse off 5 years after a significant raise. You've probably heard of the wealth effect. When your assets go up in value, you feel richer, so you spend more. Housing prices rise, stock portfolio grows, you start eating out more often. That's the traditional wealth effect. The reverse wealth effect is the evil twin. When your income increases, your brain interprets that as permanent wealth, even though it's not. It's just cash flow, and cash flow disappears the moment you stop working. But your brain doesn't distinguish. It says, we make more money now. We're successful. We can afford this. And that's when the spending creep starts. Except here's the thing that makes it so dangerous. A $10,000 raise doesn't generate $10,000 in new spending. It generates $15,000. Wait, how is that even possible? How do you spend more than you earn? Easy. You were already spending close to your limit before. Maybe you were breaking even, maybe saving a tiny bit. The raise gives you permission to finance things you've been wanting. It gives you confidence to take on a slightly bigger car payment because, hey, you can afford it now. It makes that rent increase feel manageable. It justifies the premium streaming services, the nicer gym membership, the slightly better neighborhood. Each individual purchase feels reasonable, but they stack. And here's the psychological trick your brain plays on you. You don't add them up. You evaluate them in isolation. The extra $200 a month for a better apartment, that's only $2,400 a year. The car upgrade, that's $300 more per month. That's just $3,600 annually. The subscription stack that's grown by $150 a month, $1,800 a year. The food delivery habit that's replaced cooking, another $3,000. The vacation you finally felt comfortable booking, $4,000. Add it up. That's already $6,800 in new annual spending from just 5 categories. And we haven't even talked about the clothing upgrade because you're in a more professional environment now. The furniture you bought because the new place needed better stuff. The social obligations that come with earning more because your peer group shifted. The gift-giving standards that escalated because you're not broke anymore. Before you know it, your $10,000 raise is supporting $15,000 in new annual spending. And the truly twisted part, you feel broke again. That raise that was supposed to give you breathing room, that was supposed to let you finally get ahead, it's gone. And you're back to living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher income level. Same stress, same anxiety, same feeling of never having enough, just with nicer stuff that you're too busy working to enjoy. This is the reverse wealth effect in action. Income growth that creates negative wealth accumulation, and it's not happening because you're bad with money. It's happening because you're human, and because our consumer economy is specifically designed to convert your income increases into corporate revenue before you even realize it's happening. The subscription services that conveniently increase prices right when most people get annual raises. The social media that shows you what successful people at your income level are supposed to own. The targeted advertising that knows your salary range and shows you products positioned just slightly above your current lifestyle. The housing market that segments neighborhoods by income brackets, ensuring you're always tempted to move up one level. This entire system is engineered to keep you spending every dollar you make, regardless of how many dollars that is. And the formula I just showed you, that lifestyle creep coefficient, that's your defense. That's how you see through it. Because when you run those numbers every single year, you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't pretend you're getting ahead when the math shows you're falling behind. Now, There's a specific threshold in that formula that changes everything, and there's a systematic way to fix this if your numbers are revealing a problem. But before we get to that, the system is engineered to predict and harvest your income growth. But here's where it gets interesting, because when you understand the exact mechanism, you can reverse engineer it. There's a rule I developed after analyzing hundreds of income increase scenarios. I call it the 50-30-20 raise allocation rule. And it's the only framework I've ever seen that mathematically guarantees you'll actually build wealth when your income grows, instead of just funding a nicer version of broke. Here's how it works. The moment you get a raise, before you touch a single dollar of that new income, you're going to split it into three buckets. 50% goes to accelerated savings and investing. 30% goes to intentional lifestyle improvements that you actually want, and 20% disappears into taxes and benefits adjustments that you probably weren't accounting for anyway. Let's break that down with real numbers, because this is where most people's eyes glaze over and they miss the entire point. Say you get that $10,000 annual raise we talked about earlier. That's roughly $833 more per month in gross income, but you're not seeing all of that. After taxes and benefit adjustments, you're probably seeing about $600 more in take-home pay. This is the 20% bucket that nobody plans for. People see the $10,000 raise number and build a mental budget around $10,000. But the government already took their cut before you even saw the money. So your actual working number is $7,200 annually, $600 a month. Now here's what you do with that $600. $300, exactly half, gets automatically routed to savings and investment accounts before you ever see it in your checking account. This is non-negotiable. You set up the automation the day your raise takes effect. 50% of your raise becomes wealth, not someday, not after you get comfortable with the new income level, immediately. The other $180, that's your lifestyle improvement budget, and this is the part that saves you from feeling deprived. Because here's the thing about human psychology. If you try to save 100% of a raise, you'll rebel against yourself within 3 months. You worked hard for that increase. You deserve to enjoy some of it. The 50-30-20 rule acknowledges that. It gives you permission to improve your life while still building wealth. But, and this is critical, you're choosing the lifestyle improvements deliberately. You're not letting them happen to you through 1,000 tiny decisions. You're deciding in advance what matters. Maybe it's moving to a slightly better apartment. Maybe it's upgrading your car situation. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's eating out more often without guilt. Whatever it is, you pick one or two things that genuinely improve your quality of life, and you fund them with that $180 a month. Everything else? Everything else stays exactly where it was before the raise. Your grocery budget doesn't increase. Your random Amazon spending doesn't increase. Your subscription stack doesn't increase. Only the things you specifically chose get upgraded. Now, I know some of you are thinking this sounds restrictive. You're thinking, why can't I just enjoy my raise naturally and save whatever's left over? Because I've seen that movie, I know how it ends. What's left over is nothing. The natural approach leads to that 8% lifestyle creep coefficient we talked about earlier. The intentional approach, the 50-30-20 split, guarantees a 50% coefficient minimum. But here's where this gets even more interesting. These percentages aren't static. They adjust based on your income threshold. If you're making under $60,000 a year, the split changes to 40-40-20. You need more breathing room for lifestyle improvements at that income level. If you're making over $150,000, it shifts to 60-20-20. You've got enough for basics. More should flow to wealth building. And there's a calculation worksheet for this that takes about 5 minutes to set up. You write down your old monthly take home. You write down your new monthly take home. You calculate the difference. You apply the percentage split based on your income bracket. You set up automatic transfers for the savings portion, and you create a specific line item in your budget for the lifestyle portion. The entire system takes one evening to implement, and then it runs on autopilot. Every time your income increases, whether through a raise or a bonus or a side hustle paying off, the same split happens. 50% minimum becomes wealth. 30% maximum improves your life. 20% was never yours anyway. But even with this framework in place, there's a trap that catches almost everyone. There are categories of spending that creep up so gradually, so invisibly, that you don't even notice you're bleeding money. These are the hidden lifestyle creep categories. And if you don't track them specifically, they'll undermine your entire wealth building strategy. Category 1 is convenience services. Think about what you paid for convenience 3 years ago versus today. Grocery delivery, meal kits, laundry pickup, car washes, house cleaning, dog walking. Each service costs maybe $20 to $50 a month. Individually, they seem reasonable, but they stack. And they stack fast. I watched someone add 11 different convenience services over 2 years following a promotion. 11. Their convenience spending went from $0 to $470 a month. That's $5,600 a year. And when I asked them to list their monthly subscriptions, they named maybe 4 of them. The rest had become invisible background noise. Category 2 is food delivery apps. This one's insidious because it feels like groceries or eating out, categories you're already tracking, but it's neither. It's a third category with massive markup. You're paying 30 to 40% more than restaurant prices for the same food because of delivery fees, service fees, tips, and inflated menu prices. Someone ordering delivery 3 times a week is spending an extra $300 to $400 a month compared to picking up the same food themselves. That's $4,800 annually, enough to fully fund a Roth IRA contribution. But it disappears into DoorDash and Uber Eats charges that blur together in your bank statement. Category 3 is premium product switching. You used to buy the store brand, then your income went up and you started buying the name brand. Then the premium name brand, then the organic premium name brand. Each switch feels tiny. It's $3 more for coffee, $5 more for shampoo, $7 more for bread. But you're doing this across dozens of products. Your grocery bill increases by $80 to $120 a month, and you convince yourself it's inflation. Sometimes it is inflation. Often it's choice creep masquerading as inflation. You're buying different products at different price points, and your brain has reclassified luxury items as necessities. Category 4 is travel expectations. You used to be fine with budget airlines and mid-tier hotels. Then you took one trip with upgraded seats and a nicer room. Now anything less feels like a downgrade. Your vacation budget doubled without a conscious decision to double it. You're spending $4,000 to $6,000 on trips that used to cost $2,000, and you're taking the same number of trips. Category 5 is gift-giving standards. Your income increased, so the amount you spend on birthday gifts, wedding gifts, holiday gifts all increased proportionally. You used to spend $50 on a wedding gift, now it's $150. You used to spend $30 on birthday presents. Now it's $75. Multiply that across everyone in your life, and you've added $1,500 to $3,000 in annual spending. Category 6 is pet expenses. If you have pets, this one hits hard. Premium food, more frequent grooming, better vet care, fancy toys, pet insurance, doggy daycare. Each item is justifiable. You love your pets. You want them healthy and happy, but the spending creep here is real. I've seen pet expenses triple following income increases, going from $80 a month to $250. Category 7 is personal care escalation. Haircuts at a nicer salon, skincare products that cost 5 times more, gym memberships that include classes and trainers, massage and spa treatments that became regular instead of occasional. You're spending an extra $100 to $300 a month on looking and feeling better, which isn't wrong, but it needs to be intentional, not automatic. Here's how you track this stuff. You create a lifestyle creep tracker spreadsheet. 7 categories. You write down what you spent in each category 2 years ago. You write down what you spend today. You calculate the difference. That number, that total difference across all 7 categories, is your invisible lifestyle creep. For most people, it's somewhere between $500 and $1,200 a month, $6,000 to $14,000 a year. Money that could have built wealth but instead evaporated into incremental lifestyle improvements that didn't meaningfully change their happiness or quality of life. So you've got the 50-30-20 rule. You've identified the 7 hidden creep categories. Now you need a system to actually implement this without relying on willpower. Because willpower fails, systems endure. This is the Lifestyle Lock-in Prevention System. It's a 90-day implementation plan that automates wealth building before lifestyle expansion has a chance to happen. And it works because it removes decision-making from the equation. Day 1, the day your raise takes effect, or the day you commit to this if you've already gotten the raise, you open 2 new accounts. One is a high-yield savings account that's not connected to your primary checking. The other is an investment account, either a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, or a taxable brokerage account depending on your situation. Day 2, you calculate your 50-30-20 split based on your actual take-home increase. You set up automatic transfers. 50% of the increase moves from your checking account to your savings and investment accounts the day after each paycheck hits. This happens automatically. You never see the money. You never make a decision about it. Day 3 through day 90, you live on your old budget plus the 30% lifestyle allocation. You do not increase spending in any category that you didn't explicitly choose. You track every purchase for 90 days. You use an app or a spreadsheet, whichever you'll actually maintain. You categorize everything. At day 90, you review. You look at where the money went. You identify which lifestyle improvements actually mattered and which ones were just noise. You adjust. Maybe you reallocate some of the 30% to different categories. Maybe you increase the 50% because you realized you didn't need as much lifestyle improvement as you thought. Then you set annual recalibration checkpoints. Every January, you review the previous year. You recalculate your lifestyle creep coefficient. You adjust your automatic transfers if your income changed. You prune subscriptions and services that stop providing value. You recommit to the system. This isn't complicated, but it is specific, and specificity is what makes it work. Vague intentions to save more fail. Automated systems with predetermined percentages and scheduled reviews succeed. The difference between building wealth and staying broke isn't intelligence or income. It's whether you have a system that forces wealth accumulation to happen before lifestyle expansion gets a chance to consume everything. Your raise isn't the problem. Your lack of a system to protect that raise from being harvested by lifestyle creep is the problem. Build the system, automate the system, recalibrate the system annually. That's how raises actually build wealth instead of just building a more expensive life that still feels broke.